Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to Aussie Fish Keeping. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 reasons why your aquarium plants might be melting. So melting aquarium plants might literally be the worst thing to happen in your aquarium. It can be super annoying. The cleanup from a melting aquarium plant's just terrible. You know, you've got all these brown dying leaves floating around your aquarium. It's just not nice. You definitely don't want melting aquarium plants whatsoever. So what I've done for today's video is I've gone ahead and picked out 5 super common reasons why your aquarium plants might be melting. And once you know why your aquarium plants are melting, it can be super simple to fix. So yeah, I guess without any further ado, let's just jump straight into today's video with the first reason on our list. As for reason number 1 on our list today, this one is got actually nothing to do with your aquarium, but the aquarium plants themselves, and that's that your aquarium plants were actually originally immersely grown. So immersely grown aquarium plants can be really annoying. I used to buy them all the time by mistake when I first started keeping plants, and basically what happens, these massive aquarium plant farms, they actually grow the aquarium plants out of water in super humid environments. And the reason they do that is because they grow a lot faster, and most of the time they look a lot better. It also means they don't get smothered in algae or pest snail eggs. And what they do is they get these aquarium plants, they put them in shops, and because they're usually not in shops for too long, maybe 1 week max, plants don't actually die off. But after a while, they do start to die off, and the reason for that is because the plant is just transitioning from, you know, an immersely grown environment into a fully submerged environment. So once you get them from a shop, take them back to your aquarium and put them in your aquarium, you may notice that they just start melting back instantly. And yeah, like I said, that's just because the plant's getting rid of all of those immersely grown leaves, just because they're not suitable for a fully submerged environment. So what it'll do is it'll get rid of those leaves, they'll turn brown and die off, and the whole plant will pretty much shrivel up and die. But it won't actually die. It will just shrivel up, and eventually it should shoot back out as a brand new submerged grown aquarium plant. Although in saying that, a lot of the time it can just die once it melts back, just because it's just too much damage on the aquarium plant. And usually what happens is people see their plant melting back and they take it out, they think it's dying, but actually it's just transitioning. So yeah, if you do get some new aquarium plants and they do start to die back, I definitely wouldn't go in and rip them out, just because there is a pretty high chance that those aquarium plants were originally immersely grown, and the reason why they're melting is because they are just transitioning to that fully submerged environment. So yeah, I thought I'd chuck this one on the list. Obviously it's got nothing to do with your aquarium, but it is a very common reason as to why people find their aquarium plants are melting. So yeah, with that being said, as for reason number 1 on our list is that your aquarium plants are actually immersely grown. Moving on to the next reason on our list, we have inadequate lighting. So lighting is a super important component when it comes to growing aquarium plants. Obviously, all plants, including the aquarium plants, do need light to survive. Now, there is actually a few ways as to how lighting can actually melt back your aquarium plants. So it could be that you don't have enough lighting in your aquarium, and that means your aquarium plants aren't getting enough light to actually grow. It could also mean you've got too much lighting in your aquarium, so your aquarium plants are just, you know, burning up. And it could also mean that your light is too intense for your aquarium plants. So if you don't have enough lighting in your aquarium, that's a pretty simple fix. You just turn your light cycle on for a little bit longer, or you get a new light. Sometimes, you know, lights just aren't intense enough for specific aquarium plants, and that's usually in like a super deep aquarium where it takes quite a while for the light to fully penetrate down to the bottom where your aquarium plants are going to be growing. Now, I will say, usually this doesn't cause your aquarium plants to melt. They may initially melt back just because they're not getting enough light, so they're not going to grow as, you know, prolifically. Now, if you have too much light, that's another pretty simple fix. You just turn your light cycle down. Having too much light is probably the more common reason as to why your aquarium plants are melting. So a lot of aquarium plants are pretty sensitive. If you think about it, you know, in lots of these tropical areas like South America, Indonesia, all these places where these aquarium plants are actually growing, they're growing in super dark conditions, so really tannic water, or just in creeks that are fully shaded by lots and lots of big trees. So because of that, if you take those plants, throw them in your aquarium and put a massive intense light on top and keep the light on for like 12 hours a day, obviously that is just going to burn the leaves up. They're not going to be able to survive in super high light conditions like that. So what I like to do is I research what sort of plant I'm keeping. I see where it grows in the wild, and you know, from that you can tell how much lighting it's going to need. So yeah, with that being said, as for reason number 2 on our list is that you've got inappropriate lighting in your aquarium. Moving on to the third reason on our list, this one is another great one that a lot of people may run into, and that's too much competition in your aquarium. So if you've got lots and lots and lots of aquarium plants in your aquarium, obviously they're going to be competing for the same resources. So they need CO2, they need nutrients, they need light. So if you've got like 3 massive Amazon swords growing in your aquarium and your aquarium's only like 25 liters and you've got this one little Ludwigia growing there as well, obviously the Ludwigia isn't going to grow as well just because those massive Amazon swords have bigger root systems, they've got bigger leaves, they shade out their aquarium, they suck up more nutrients, more CO2, and that just leaves absolutely none for your little shrimpy Ludwigia, and the poor little guy is just going to melt up. He's going to have nothing in there to use to grow. So yeah, this is one I think a lot of people don't actually realize. Your aquarium plants do compete for the same resources. Now, obviously they don't use as much resources as say your aquarium fish would. So what I mean by that is you could quite easily have a heavily planted aquarium in a small 20-liter aquarium like this, but you want to try and make sure that all your plants are relatively the same size. If you've got a bunch of massive ones in there and a few smaller ones, sometimes those smaller ones will melt away and they won't do as good. So yeah, with that being said, as for reason number 3 on our list, it's that you've got too much competition from other aquarium plants in your aquarium. As for reason number 4 on our list, it's that you've actually planted your aquarium plant wrong. So there's lots and lots of different types of aquarium plants out there, and some need to be planted particular ways. Obviously, you've got your stem plants, you've got your rhizomial plants, and if you plant your rhizomial plants like a stem plant, bury their rhizome under the substrate, they're just going to rot away, melt away, and die. And if you get a stem plant and you glue it to some wood, that's obviously going to die as well, just because it needs that substrate to set its roots in and suck up all those nutrients in the substrate. Also, if you get, an aquarium plant bunch and you just take that whole bunch and plant it in one spot in your aquarium, sometimes that can lead to your aquarium plant being melted away as well. Usually what you want to do is get that one bunch, separate it out into a few smaller bunches or a few separate stems, and plant that around your aquarium, and usually that'll give your aquarium plants a lot better chance of growing and not melting away. Sometimes people like to trim the roots of their stem plants or just completely cut off the root ball as well. Now, this is usually fine with stem plants. Stem plants are pretty resilient and they are able to grow from any section along their stem. So cutting away the roots isn't a death sentence. They can definitely grow back from that. But if you throw them in your aquarium and it's completely different water parameters to what they were originally growing in, or the water parameters just aren't good and your water's not clean, that cut can actually get infected, I guess, and just sort of kill the aquarium plant. So yeah, you want to do a little bit of research in your aquarium plants before you actually go ahead and get them and then plant them. You want to be making sure you are planting your aquarium plant the right way, and if you're not, it may lead to some melting in your aquarium plants. So yeah, with that said, as for reason number 4 on our list as to why your aquarium plants might be melting, is that you've actually planted them wrong. And then moving on to the final reason on our list, this one's pretty obvious, and that's huge water fluctuations. So not only can fluctuations in water parameters kill your aquarium fish, but it can also kill your aquarium plants. So the sort of fluctuations I'm talking about is fluctuations in pH, fluctuations in temperature. All of those sorts of water parameters, if you've got massive drops in them or massive increases, they can kill off your aquarium plants. And that's just because it pretty much shocks your aquarium plants. This has happened to me a few times actually. In some of my aquariums, I used to keep heaters in a lot of my aquariums and keep aquarium plants in there with the heaters. And sometimes when the power went off for, a few days, the aquarium plants would just die. Not because they don't have any light, but because the temperature would just shut off, and then obviously the water temperature drops rapidly, and that just shocks the aquarium plants. It makes them drop all their leaves, melt back, and unfortunately die in your aquarium. So yeah, with that being said, as for reason number 5 on our list as to why your aquarium plants may be melting back, is that there's been some sort of huge fluctuation in your water parameters. So that is actually going to bring us to the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope this video helps a few of you guys out. If you did enjoy today's video and you haven't done so already, please make sure to go down and subscribe, and while you're down there, smash the like button and comment your thoughts on today's video. I always love going down there and reading them all, and I try to reply back to as many comments as I can. Also, if you haven't done so already, make sure to go check out my website, aussiefishkeeping.com. I've got all sorts of fish, tentacles, other aquarium products up there. But yeah, with that said, thank you all so much for sticking around to the end. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in that next video.